Okay, good morning. So we're halfway through Reish Lamed Beis Sif Beis, with the various things that you can't do before Mincha, lest you get sort of very involved in them and then come to miss Mincha. So let's just review the Mechaba and then we'll go straight into the Mishnah Berurah where we left off. So the Mechaba says in Reish Lamed Beis Sif Beis, Lo yeshev adam lehistaper samach lemincha yispalel. Person shouldn't sit and get a haircut until he davens. He shouldn't go into a merchatz or into a tannery where they process the hides, and he shouldn't begin a din Torah or meal. He doesn't have to stop, even though he started be'issa. So long as there's time later to still have mincha, if there isn't time, then of course he's got to stop straight away. That's what we got up to yesterday. Now yesterday, the Mishnah Berurah said in Hakdama that this is the Shulchan Aruch is following the Shitta of the Rif and the Rambam, that they are of the opinion that it referring to even that you can't, even a Suda Katana, you can't get involved in anything before. This was the second answer of the Gemara, that even a Suda Katana, Samach Lemincha, you can't get involved in. The Ramah we're going to do later, Mishem, says that it's only referring to a Suda Gedola. Lemaisa, nowadays we are generally very makel because we have fixed times for davening, and we'll see soon the other kulas that the Ramah brings. Now, but what we're going to first do is that the Mechaba says that you can't that even according to the Mechaba, who follows the Rif and the Rambam, you can't be involved in these things, but if you started, then ein mafsik, you don't have to stop. Now the question is, what's considered starting? So now that's what the Mechaba is going to deal with. What's considered the beginning of a haircut? So the answer is, says the Mechaba, Meshiyaniach sudar al shel saparim al birkov. When he puts the sort of the blanket or whatever it's called, the protective thing, the cape, okay, over your knees, he puts the gown on you. V'hascholas merchatz, what is considered the beginning of going to the bathhouse? When you've already taken off your outer clothing. V'hascholas bursaki, what's that? Going to the tannery. Mishayikshar beged ben ksefov kadercha bursakim. You put on some sort of apron or something. V'hascholas din, what is the considered hascholas din? Im hoyu asukim bay, if they were actively involved in this din Torah. Mishayaschilu ba'alei din nita, when the ba'alei din start presenting their claims. V'im lo asukim bay, then mishayis atfu hadayonim. If they weren't busy with it yet, Mishis atfu hadayonim, when the dayonim put their talis on. In those days, they would wear a talis at a din Torah. The dayonim don't do that nowadays, but back in the day, that's how they would do it. Well, the didon mishayeshvu adaita lodon. Nowadays, says the Mechaba, even in his days, they didn't do that. It's adaita lodon, when they sit down with the intention to preside over a din Torah. V'hascholas achila, and what's considered the beginning of eating, is mishayitel yodov, when they wash hands. Okay, so let's just do the Mishnah Berurah up to that point. So we are up to Sifkot and Yud Zayin. Me'emus ha'aschola koya mashe kosav le'el v'im hischil. Okay, like I explained. Yud ches v'im ho'yasukim pirush shekva yoshvu b'dinim acherim. Okay, mesheyiz atfu. When they would put their talis on. That's how they would do it in those days, because and therefore they would wear a talis. And then what is considered the beginning of a meal, when you wash for the meal. The Gemara talks about when sometimes they would release their belt before eating. That you do even before Natilas time. So once you release your belt, you open up your belt, you undo a buckle or something, then that's also considered beginning of a meal. Okay, now let's go to the Ramah. V'yesh cholkin. So again, v'yesh cholkin usvir lehu the suda katana muta. That it's only a suda gedola that you can't do before you daven mincha. Ve'ena also rak b'sudas nisuin amila. For example, a sudas nisuin amila, but a suda katana is actually okay. Furthermore, it says the Ramah on the top of the next page, v'yesh oimrim da'afilu suda gedola samach lemincha gedola shari. They say that not only is it a suda katana okay, but even a suda gedola, a very large meal, Samach the Mincha Kadeila, which means the earlier Mincha. So again, on a 6 to 6 day, Chatzos is 12, Mincha Gedola would be 12:30, half an hour after Chatzos. So Samach Mincha Gedola would be already 12 o'clock. So even Samach Mincha Gedola, because you got the whole afternoon, so even that would be allowed. V'yesha, even more mekil, the Suda Katana afilu Samach Mincha Katana Shari. He even allows a Suda Katana by Mincha Katana, which is even later. V'nagu lahakel kashtei hasfaras. And the Ramah says we are generally mekel nowadays for like these two svaras. Dahainu, b'suda gedola samach mincha gedola. We allow a large meal in the early afternoon at lunchtime, close to samach mincha gedola. Or b'suda katana samach mincha katana. We allow a smaller meal in the later afternoon, even close to mincha katana. Ve'ef sha'atam, and perhaps the reason is mishum da'achshav kari in the Beis HaKnesses. You're called for the Beis HaKnesses, which means there would be a shamash who would go around town, banging, waving his flag, or ringing a bell, or shouting out, it's mincha, and therefore lo ychashin dilma yivshav lo yispalel. Now the equivalent nowadays is you've got a time. Mincha in shul today is 7 o'clock or whatever it is. Va'in le'elsim peites miu. You should have be machmer for a Suda Gedola to avoid that in the later afternoon. Afilu Samach lemincha Gedola. You should be machmer and avoid a Suda Gedola even in the early afternoon, mincha Gedola time. Even if you started earlier. When mincha Katana comes around, you should get up and down. Okay, let's see the Mishnah Berurah. We're up to Sif Cotton Chof Aleph. Okay, the Suda Katana. Uladitu Tisperes Didon Nami Shari. According to this, the Ramah, the Mekel opinion, are haircuts nowadays to take them in the afternoon, no problem. Shari Samach lemincha Gedola. Ve'ina also Tisperes shel ben Eloso. Shehi Meloch Gedola. The Gemara describes his haircut. It was a very fancy haircut, and that would take a long time. But our haircuts, he says, Kamuvu B'Gemara, he says, Tisperes Didon Nami Shari, Kamuvu B'Gemara. Yeah, we're not worried about that. Or Merchas Dafka Kula Milsa the Merchats also Oz. And again, in those days, the Merchats was quite a business, going to the bathhouse, and there was hot water and there was cold water. It was more like a Turkish bath, that sort of thing. Aval Halazia Ba'al Mashari, to go for a little sauna, that's okay, and certainly a quick shower, that's not a problem. Well, Bursaki Dafka Bursaki Gedola. Again, the Bursaki, what's also only the Bursaki Gedola. V'din Dafka Hascholas Din, when you begin a hold in Torah, Shetzorech Lozer, Shiu Harbe, there's a big delay, it takes a long time. V'chashin Shem Yavar De Azman, you might miss the time of Mincha. Of the Gemara Din Shari, just as, to be there for the Gemara Din, the issuing of the Psak, that we're not worried about. Okay, Chaf Beis. Sifkot and Chaf Beis. So the Ramah says that for a Suda Katana it's muta. Hainu Samach lemincha Gedola. And we all do it. We all, we can have lunch before Mincha, especially nowadays in the summer, when Mincha can be at 6:20. It is, today. So, and you want to have lunch at 1 o'clock, we don't think twice about it. Samach lemincha Gedola. V'acha mekenat Samach lemincha Katana. Samach lemincha Katana shum mitchilas shas hasiris l'mala gam leditu. According to this Ramah, that even then that would be also. Okay, we'll see halacha l'mais in a bit. Ve'ena also, hainu deleditu, eina also lahasche somach lemincha gedola, ela suda gedola, a large meal. To beditu dafka shetzorech shiur rav, it's a very long business. Al kein chashin and shemi yimoshech harbe ad sheyavar azman. You might get so involved that you might miss the time for mincha. What is this definition of a suda gedola? Something like a nisuin, a mila. It's more like a banquet, and it's going to schlep. It's not that, that's different, that's not called a Suda Gedola. Okay, now then the Ramah brings two more lenient opinions. The first is the Balamar, who says that Afilu Suda Gedola Samach lemincha Gedola is shari if it's in the early afternoon, and then the second Yeshayim is a Suda Katana. Even Samach lemincha Katana is shari. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sivkot and Chafei, Shtei Elu Hadeyas Mekilin Yosem Hadeyas Hakoidmas. These two opinions are even more makil than the two that he brought yesterday. Again, yesterday he said that there's two answers to the Gemara. One says that even a Suda Katana is Osa. The Rif and the Rambam go like that, and the Shulchan Aruch Paskins like that. The Ramah goes with the other answer, that it's only a Suda Gedola that's Osa. Now he's bringing opinions which are even more lenient than that. So he says, Shtei Elu Deyas Mekilin Yosim B'Deyas HaKoidmus. The Ledidhu rak ba'ifan echad asa. Only one way is asa, Suda Gdoila, Suda Ktana. V'nechlokin zeh mezeh. Daliyesha Imrim Rishon, because according to the first opinion, rak somach lemincha ktana asa, afilu Suda Ktana, avu somach lemincha Gdoila, shari hakol. That was the Ramah. The Suda Gdoila also afilu samach mincha Gdoila. That even a Suda Gdoila is also from the early afternoon. Or Suda Ktana muta afilu samach mincha Ktana. So now we're being even more makel. Afilu samach mincha Ktana mashma the cheshigiyas, but mincha Ktana moeded the also lahaschil. Even this opinion agrees that samach mincha Ktana you shouldn't begin. Of Agos Mordechai makel gambazeh. He's even makel on that. V'daita de'enis ele besuda Gdoila samach mincha Ktana. The only problem would be a large meal in the later afternoon. V'chein masha b'mari denagu ha'olam lahakel af la'acha ha'shegiyas ma mincha Ktana. We makel even with that. We're noeg to be maker like the Ramah, like these two more lenient opinions. Mishum da'achshav, because the Ramah says nowadays there's a shamash going around telling everyone when mincha is. Now, this is very important. But if a person is, for whatever reason, is not davening b'tzibur, let's say COVID, there are no minyonim, or let's say a guy's on holiday or is on business, is away, then all of these trutzim don't help, because you should try and really daven at the first opportunity. So if you look at 36, and this is really the halacha l'maisa, look at the next paragraph. The second paragraph in footnote 36. A person has a fixed minyan in shul. Even though there needs to be a shamas going around telling everyone there's davening. Regarding learning before davening, Chaim Kosov Shatam Zeh Kashesh Minyan Kavur Litfilas Mincha Nagu Af Bnei Sfard Lahokal Kadas Ramah. When there's a fixed time for Mincha, even the Sfardim are noeg like the Ramah, and they're lechol Suda Katana Af Samach Mincha Katana. They're makel. And it's Shasim Shahmachmek Bader Kaduch Shnorach Tovel of Bracha. If you're machme like the Shulchan Aruch, Tovel of Bracha. Okay, now let's just jump to the next paragraph. V'im Minosh Shomer. If a person appoints a shomer, sheyazkilo lispalel bizman, kosev lekamon, shle'inyan limud kodim tefillah, v'sham le'inyan achila kodim tefillah, shemutlo lechol limud kodim tefillah's arvis, afilu shegia zmano. Okay, so if you appoint a shomer saying, by the way, I'm going to learn now, before we eat or before we daven Mariv, don't remind me I've got Mariv tonight, or something like that, then that also is effective. So generally speaking, we are makel nowadays because we've got fixed times for davening. That is the equivalent of the shamash back in the day. Okay, let's go weiter. Choftes loy chashinan omnom miyad kasheker in the Beis HaKnesses. But when the shamash says, okay, it's Mariv or it's mincha time, tzorich lahafsik l'spal, you got to stop and you got to quickly go daven. Dilav hochi might takanta, because otherwise, what does it help? V'dad davka suda katana soimchen al kriyas hashamash l'Beis HaKnesses. We are dafka somech on this shamash for a small meal. Ava suda gedola ein soimchen al kriyas l'Beis HaKnesses lahatze lahaskel somech l'mincha katana dainu miteshas l'malo mishum deshkicha shichros. If you're getting involved in a large meal, then the wine can flow, and that might slow you down, and you might get involved and not daven mincha. Umash me'achronim. Going to the bathhouse nowadays, even if it's the whole merchatz experience, the kriyas hashamas is not dafka for the middle of the meal. It works for all the other things that the mechaber and the Ramah say you shouldn't be involved in kodim mincha. LeBeis HaKnesses kodim in suda katana. V'hinei lefi zeh mutar leilech be'erev Shabbos lemerchatz afilu kshegia zman mincha katana b'mokum sheyesh shamash k'er LeBeis HaKnesses, or there is a fixed time for shul on Friday night. So you want to take a haircut Friday afternoon, no problem. Omnom anshe ma'aser nagin nispalam mekodim shochel LeBeis HaMerchatz. There are those men of stature, anshe ma'aser, who would daven mincha gedola on before they go to Beis HaMerchatz. V'yeshem medaktikin nizoy lispal mekodim, and they're very careful to daven beforehand. K'shochel Beis HaMerchatz somach mincha gedola. Dahainu acha chatzos. Kamoshe muska b'ma'aser rav. Omnom hanogin lahakal b'zeh ein limchus b'yodon deyesh lahem al mashe yismechu, because they've certainly got what to rely on v'chanal. Avol kol zeh dafka im Hashamish Yachriz Gamla Anshe Beis Hamerachas Lo Tzesim Boyjoim. He's got to actually go to the bathhouse, the Shamas, to announce it there. Zman Kedem Ashkia B'Chdei Sheyaspik Lohem Hois Achatzesim Nispala B'Zmana. So long as there'll be time for him to get out and daven mincha before Shkia. Ilav Hochi Lo Nuchel Lismech Al Zeh Klal. Okay. Interestingly, in 43, have we done this yet? Let's just finish this sieve and then we'll do the 43. Yesh lahachmish lismech al kriyas hashamash lahaschil es asuda the shkiach shichrus. Yeah, because at lunchtime if you're going to drink suda gedola, then shichrus is common, being drunk. V'shichrus le mahani akriya. Well, lefizek sheyesh chasna b'Shabbos. That means there's a Friday night chasna. Make sure you daven mincha early to sudas nisu and have a suda gedola, because a wedding is considered a suda gedola. Koydem lochen dahanu sheyaschel suda gedola koydem chatzos da'oz adayin zman hetel kula alma. Kashegia zman hashav veres rotzolema kiven misha sheimoshech sudas ad halayla tzorich lokum v'lispalel tekef kashegia zman mincha ketana. Tzorich lokum v'lispalel. Near the dafka besuda gedoilo, the mishum shkicha shichrus, the loy samchin al kris hashamash lebeis hakneses v'chanal. Lakach pesik miyad, therefore you got to stop straight away. Avol besuda ketana ein tzarich lifsek miyad, the yuchel lismech hafilu im hischil sudasa achash shegiz v'min ketana the yispek misudasa kashikra hashamash lebeis hakneses. Okay, let's just do Gimel and finish this simon. Gimel v'hada asa lechol suda ketana hanu kashikavel suda. That's when you're eating a large amount. That's when we say that you can't eat a suda ketana. But to have some fruit before mincha, that's no problem. And to have a small amount of bread is also not a problem. So to have a sandwich for lunch, we're not talking about that. That's nothing. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Lamed Muta, even if it's the second zman, it's 3:30 on a 6 to 6 day, we're not worried. Oh, this is what I was referring to, 43. Now, interestingly, this is relevant to us. 43. When it comes to bedikas chometz, yeah, you can eat fruit before the zman, but when it comes to bedikas chometz, it's not a good thing when it's nacht tomorrow on Monday night. On Sunday night, it's not a good thing to just to wait and to have some fruit and to have some chocolate and other things. A person should just get on with it, right? That's the point. If you have mezonos, that's also mutzah. So long as you don't have too much. But kabetza v'lo yosef, because I'm Mogen Avram, the b'shtia yetz mikabetza nami osa. When you're drinking, then more than a betza, that's also osa. Af deleinyan achila chutz lesukkah choshiv arai, even though in terms of the sukkah, that's considered achilas arai. Af b'yosem and betza, even if it's more than a kabetza. With this, b'zeh the chashashu shemi yimoshech, you might get involved. And mismincha zeh shaykh b'shtia yeh, so that's a concern when you drink a lot. Imhu mashke hamashake, if the drink is intoxicating. But when it comes to other non-intoxicating drinks, then we're okay. Say that. That's the end of that sermon.